morning. This is the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's morning docket. Today is Thursday, March 30th, 2017. This docket will be hearing the regular items, the new, transfer, expansion, and hardship hearings. If you have a cell phone, please put it on vibrate or silence it now. When your case is called, please be prepared to step up to the podium and state your name into the microphone. And if you're going to be giving testimony, please be prepared to be sworn in. I'll start with the first case. Richard Kraft Jr. and Edward Popesco, Guilford Brewing, LLC. The trade name is pending, 1611 Guilford Avenue. This is a Class B beer, wine, liquor license. It's an application for a new Class B beer, wine, liquor license under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12, Section 12, 1603.
I have a packet that I'm going to hand out.
Okay. Can you identify yourself, please?
Yes, Abraham Hurdle for Guilford Brewing.
Thank you.
Good morning. And can I ask you gentlemen to raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And could each of you step up and tell us your name? And you have to speak into these microphones.
Richard Kraft Jr.
Stefan Popescu.
Andrew Klimkowski.
Andrew,
Klimkowski.
spell that. Klymkowsky.
Before we begin, Mr. Kraft, have you ever been represented by Whiteford, Taylor, and Preston, the law firm?
No.
Your name popped up on my conflict check. I have to ask. Okay. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. The other licensee, Edward Popesco, is not here today. There was some sort of family emergency. He had to go to Florida on short notice. I do apologize for that situation. With me, Edward Popesco. With me is his son, Stefan Popesco. And I do apologize for that lack of the one licensee.
And why does my sheet say 101 East 25th Street? Is that just a typo, Mr. Akris?
On the long docket, let me check, sir.
Did yours say that?
Yes, that's a typo. It should be 1611 Guilford Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
Which is the address in the packet.
That's what I saw, so I was...
confused as well.
The building that they're planning to put this restaurant in with a craft brewing craft brewing with accessory restaurant is the old Crown Cork and Seal building. The goal is certainly to have the brewery. The restaurant will be the accessory. That'll be a German-style restaurant. Mr. Popesco is going to be there full-time managing it. Mr. Kraft, who currently works in the financial advisory field, is going to be helping out with the numbers, making sure the taxes are paid. After speaking with the comptroller, they're very concerned that making sure that, for every gallon or barrel, you pay your certain amount both to the feds and to the state. The project will ultimately cost in the neighborhood of $2 million from start to finish. And there should be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 50 jobs between servers and staff on the restaurant side, and maybe 10 to 12 full-time jobs coming out of the brewery. These are going to be good jobs, locally hired, ideally. And it should just be a great thing for the area. We did meet with the community. It has been a while. I do have a letter from them.
Is this the Butcher's Hill Society? Or is
One of
that
the
different?
examples in there.
Okay.
It's not in Butcher's Hill.
Correct. This is not. It's in.
Oh, I see. That's just one
It's
of
just
your-
one of the other organizations that we run.
Just one at a time.
Sorry.
Track of his talk.
But I understand. That's one of the illustrations that you gave us. Okay.
Stefan and Andy, who are going to help out, and are friends of of Edward, Stefan's his son, currently run Riders and Butcher's Hill Society. It's close. Which are two successful restaurants, also located, in close proximity to schools and things of that nature. This is across the street from a school. We met with the community in the basement of the school in late 2015. I'm sure you're wondering as to why we're here today as opposed to years ago. It was late 2015. The issue is the federal brewing application went in February 2016, a couple months after meeting with the community and kind of getting comfortable with the concept and the zoning. And it's just taken a long time between the federal and the state licensing, which have both been, the federal license has been more or less issued. The state is pending the restaurant license being issued, but has been more or less approved pending this issuance. And it's just been a complicated and long process. The feds lost our application. We had to resend it. And right now, my understanding is the feds are dealing with 4 times the volume of applications that they were 4 years ago. So it takes them a little while longer than they'd like, takes a little while longer than we'd like. It happens to be the situation. The brewery's gonna have the restaurant's gonna have 83 seats, and I think it's a conservative number. Could be as many as 100. We've spoken with someone recently who indicated their grandfather used to work at the location. They helped do part of the demo. They saved some of the original wood, and that they would be happy to build tables out of the wood from the old manufacturing facility to use as the communal tables we plan to have at the location. So there's a lot of interesting opportunities there. The community seems very excited for it. There's nothing really like it in the area. It'll bring a little bit of vibrance to the area. That is desperately needing it. It isn't necessarily in that Charles Street corridor where everything seems to be. It's a couple blocks over, just across the bridge. It's a beautiful building. From the street, it doesn't look nearly as big as it is.
Has it been vacant?
Underutilized is the term we'd like to use.
Okay.
Underutilized.
And when's it projected opening?
We are hoping to open ideally September, October. The timeline isn't great because part of the process is that after approval, assuming we're approved, we have to spend and order all the brewing equipment, which is substantial. It's all custom manufactured, custom delivered and installed. There's going to be significant back and forth with the city on just making sure that it's up to the way they want it as well as actually functions. This year we're hoping to put in 1,000 barrels, which is not a ton. And then next year really fully expand to ideally capacity if everything works out great. And if we're at capacity, I think that 50 jobs number is going to be very conservative.
And Mr. Popescu is going to be the on-site manager of the
Absolutely.
operation? And is Stefan going to be working there or not?
Stefan has a license at Riders, which is in northern Fells Point? Upper Fells Point. And he'll be helping out Edward in any capacity he can because he's now been in the business for a few years. Andy's, the gentleman who's on the license at Chester Street, Butchers Hill Society. And he's our beer guy. Knows everything there's to know about beer. Spent a lot of time in Colorado. And he's gonna be helping us brewing everything, making sure all the levels are right. It's a very complicated process going from home brewing to the full-scale operation and then canning and bottling and so
What's
forth.
Mr. Popescu's background?
He does a lot of real estate investment, is my understanding.
But he's going to be running this brewery.
Correct, with significant assistance. Right now, we're looking for a full-time brewmaster who's going to be, nobody who isn't a full-time brewmaster can, be a full-time brewmaster. It's one of those things that's like an apprenticeship. You have to do it before you can be good at it. And that'll be one of the 50 jobs that we're anticipating is a full-time craft brewmaster.
Okay. Anything further?
You'd wanted to speak just briefly if you could.
Yeah, just to introduce myself, give a brief background. I'm a certified financial planner, so I'll help
What's
with
your name?
Richard Kraft, sorry,
Thank you.
Junior. Oversee the financials of the operation. I'm also on the board of the Baltimore City Chamber of Commerce. I've been heavily involved there, and I chair the events committee. And we do a lot of work with nonprofits within the communities, and see this as a great opportunity for this neighborhood to get more involved. We don't do too much in this area, so I see it as a great opportunity with the chamber for fundraising with local nonprofits and to be a centerpiece in the community there. And that's really the culture of the breweries, is to be engulfed into the community.
Okay.
If I can add
Commissioners?
one thing.
Yeah.
We didn't discuss hours. Right now, there's no real plan to be open in the morning. All the windows from the building sit up several feet from the ground. They're not like floor to ceiling. So there's no situation where children will be seeing people, eating dinner, eating breakfast, drinking, anything like that. It's a manufacturing facility that's being converted. And again, a truly unique facility in that regard. So there shouldn't be anything with regards to, that sort of a concern, I would hope. Ultimately, the goal is to be open lunch into the evening. Once things get running full speed, hopefully be open till midnight, maybe later on the weekends. But certainly the goal at this moment is to get open and make sure that we're, just
What's the
compliant.
cross street at 1600?
What is it?
Landville and
Oh, okay.
Landville.
Okay, so it's up there. All right. Commissioners?
How far is this from the Baltimore Design School?
1 full block north.
You need to you need to state your name and then speak into
Stefan Popescu, 1 full block north.
So you are 1 full block north of the design school?
Yes,
And how far are you from the Montessori school?
directly across the street.
So you're right across the street from the design school?
Yes.
And do we have a letter from the design school saying that they agree with your location?
We've met with the community, and the community, from my understanding, was taking into consideration all the school's needs, since we did speak about a lot of the stuff that the school would be concerned about. Parking was the #1 concern. We spent probably a good hour talking about our parking plans and how we were going to utilize the parking lots, the train parking lot, the social services parking lot, as well as parking that's behind the building on the property. That was their major concern and deliveries.
And do we have any documentation of that?
The letter you have is from the community group. We actually met with them in the basement of the school that's across the street,
Meaning the Montessori school or the
Correct.
design school?
the Montessori school.
Okay.
And one of the things that we're going to try to help the community with is, if you look at the front picture, on that Guilford Avenue, the parking there is only for heavy equipment, like heavy commercial trucking parking. And our goal is to convert that so that it'll be regular parking, so you're actually adding significant spots to the neighborhood.
How many
all
feet
times.
will the brewery be from the school?
It's across the street.
Right.
Yeah.
And don't we have, or has that been eliminated?
This is the application for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. The bar only applies in the 46th district. This district, I believe, is it the 45th?
I believe it's 45th.
The 45th district. This is not the 46th. This is outside of the 46th district.
I thought there was a general liquor board rule that bars can't be located within certain number of feet from a school.
Class B, so there's a prohibition on liquor licenses being issued 300 feet from a school for Class A's, Class D's, and BD7s. Class B's are allowed, beer, wine, and liquor B's are allowed within the 300-foot rule unless it's in the 46th district. And
Okay,
Class
and we're
C's.
not in the 46th district.
We're not in the 46th district.
And just to add to that, we do run 2 establishments that are near schools or directly across from the school. We've always made sure that we're respectful of their hours, respectful of their times. I've personally made delivery trucks turn around if they've come during pickup or drop-off times. Obviously, the most important thing is the community that we're in. So we
Right.
do take a huge amount of time to make sure that we satisfy all their needs, to make sure that we're working together.
Okay, and what study have you done about that block between the hours of, say, 7:30 a.m. and 9 a.m., which is when the school drop-off is? And then,
The sides of the
and then the
schools-
reverse is at the end of at the end of the school day.
Correct. The size of the school is about the same as Commodore Rogers.
No, I
Which-
want to know about
Correct.
that block.
Correct.
What have
the
you done?
Montessori school is about the same size as Commodore Rogers. So they have about the same pickup and drop-off times as Commodore Rogers, which starts around 8 o'clock, ends around 10, and pickup starts around 2, ends around 4. The traffic is not as bad as Commodore Rogers because it is a 2-lane road rather than a single-lane road. So they do have parking on both sides of the streets. However, they do stop and put their hazards on. So I can tell you from my personal experience dealing with delivery trucks that we will just not have deliveries during that time whatsoever.
Because what I was asking is, what have you done specifically about this location? And I'll just tell you, this is a few blocks from where I live. It's where I traverse to get downtown, going through certain hours, drop off in the morning, pick up in the afternoon. It's very, very congested. Like between the buses and the parents and actually getting kids out of the car safely and into the school, it gets very bottled up. And so your commitment is to not have deliveries during the time of school drop-off, and you're not going to have delivery during the time of school pickup. Is that
Correct.
accurate?
And they're not going to be open in the morning, too. for the
I mean, I need to hear yes or
Yes,
no.
Yeah,
Are you making
Chair-
that commitment?
Commissioner Moore, yes, I'm making a
Okay.
commitment to the best of our ability.
No.
If anyone has been in
That
the
doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, if
I just
anyone-
need to, because you really didn't answer my question about actually being there at this school during these hours. You need to listen when I'm talking. I mean, I'm not gonna talk all morning. So I need to have some clear understanding of what your commitment is about deliveries during that, because it's a disaster if you're thinking you're gonna be doing that. It's gonna be a disaster.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so again, Mr. Moore, this area actually is a lot better comparative to our other areas that we deal with. If anyone has been in the industry before, I cannot control about 10% of the deliveries that we take. However, I will make my best ability to stop any trucks that will try to deliver. But having them show up, I will turn them away. But that
And
doesn't.
you'll be there personally?
I will be there personally, as well as Andy, as well as my father. We will
But
also have an
he'll be here from Florida?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. He spends a good part of the year here, and he goes back and forth to Florida, where my mother lives full-time, where it's sunny. So she doesn't like the snow. But yes, we're going to do our best of our ability. I just can't promise you that a truck isn't going to show up. We will send them away. But again, they kind of do their own schedule. They're larger companies than, Cisco, US Foods, they kind of do what they want. We can only deny them from coming
So,
in.
I just have to share that my bias is always going to be in favor of the kids, and that's just not acceptable. I'll just tell you, that's not acceptable to me to have trucks, especially large trucks. It is just a 2-lane road. It is very congested in the mornings, and the thought of allowing a license that would bring in heavy trucks during those hours, and there's no commitment to not have that happen, and it really does put the kids at risk, is of concern to me.
Ms. Moore, would it make you feel better for me to commit that we're not going to have any deliveries during that time? I can
I am
commit to
asking for that commitment.
As again, we can commit to it, and I'm doing my best of the ability. I just can't let you know that if they show up, I don't have full control over what they do. But I can commit to making sure that all my contracts with them will outline that they can't deliver during that time, which all my contracts at every other spot already does.
Okay, that's a great commitment. Thank you. So let's talk about Florida and your father, and what is the plan for his actual presence at this property during the hours that it's open in terms of management? What is the plan for that? Because, and here's, again, just to not be tricky, he's not here today. And we don't require that he be here, but when he's the 99% owner, and he's not here. And the people that are here don't even live in Baltimore, so I want to hear what the plan is.
You want to take that?
Sure. I've spoken extensively with Mr. Propasco regarding the fact that it appears on paper that his residency is Florida. That is going to change when the brewery starts moving forward, when we get open, things of that nature. Probably before we get open, I think it's going to be 6 months before we're even anywhere near getting final inspections for anything. He plans to move here full-time. I absolutely do anticipate there will be the occasional weekend where he goes to visit his wife, who does appreciate the weather in Florida a little bit more than around here. But he will be the full-time operator. My understanding is 40-plus hours a week. I think 40 hours isn't enough in the restaurant industry. And again, we're going to be bringing in established veterans within these specific disciplines, both in managing the restaurant itself specifically and the brewery aspect, which are wildly diverging. And I forgot to mention, if I do apologize, we did sit down with Councilman Stokes in that area. I do not want to speak for him. My understanding was someone from his office was going to be here. Again, not to speak for him, they seemed very enthusiastic about the project, having us met with the community, talked about the different school issues, and again, getting some much-needed hiring and just life into that area. It is unfortunate that no one is here, so I do apologize about that.
So my next area of questioning, let's talk about need. The need for this license here. There's the Peabody Heights Brewery, which is in the same zip code, not too distant from this location. That's at Guilford, basically Barclay and 30th, and you're at 25th and Guilford. Why does this neighborhood need another brewery? And then that doesn't even get into the one that we just approved for Federal Hill, and I'm forgetting the name of it, but also a German-style brewery. Why does this community, this zip code, need another brewery?
Well, it isn't so much the brewery aspect is more or less approved. I do understand the restaurant question, absolutely. And despite the fact that we think that there's going to be a benefit from that, I think the best thing you could do is look at the letter from the community, which talks about how they need the local hiring, they want a restaurant in the area. They seem very enthusiastic. The councilman's office seemed very enthusiastic because there's going to be, this is an area where there's a lot of unskilled workers, and this is going to be a place where they can gain those skills, get good jobs, and do good work. And there'll be something that's open in the evening, whereas in this area, there's nothing really right there. It's certainly a distance from anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, the area can be dark, but but can you just address the need for another brewery in this area? Why does this area why is there a need for another brewery in this area?
For the brewery,
Yes.
I think there's just certainly an opportunity. I think it's a market that is still not yet at capacity. I think there's certainly going to be opportunities here that have been created, both in terms of local brewing, local manufacturing, as well as a restaurant that's going to focus on local ingredients and certainly local assistance. And ultimately, I'm not the person who's buying the beer. It's a business plan that hopefully will work out. I do think Andy is our beer specialist, and he can certainly maybe address that a little bit more.
Again, my name is Andrew Kunkowski. I worked for a while in the beer industry in Colorado, which has seen a huge boom in the breweries. It went from about 300 in the state to over 3,000 in the last 7 years. They're huge in the community. They do a ton of give back to the community. They do a lot of fundraisers. I can't say it enough because everyone, when I say it, says, "Oh, you're opening a bar." It's not a bar. It is.
It's not a bar, it's a brewery.
It is a brewery, and it has a lot more community outreach than almost any restaurants that I've seen. Ours accepted a little bit because we're very heavily involved, but breweries in general are just a boon to the neighborhood. Whether it's a couple miles away from each other, they work really well together. They do collaborations with each other. They do collaborations with local nonprofits, with local businesses, with schools, with fundraisers. From being in the industry for the last couple of years, they're probably one of the industries I've seen that gives the most back to the community. So I don't see having one close to the other as being something that takes away from either the community or each other.
If I can add, as Andy was saying, in Colorado, he said there's 300, now there's 3,000. In Maryland, it's my understanding there's something like 40. So there's certainly room to expand. Everyone wants to be in the city because I think the city gives you a certain cachet. Plus, I think that's where the people are. It's where the action is. But there's certainly room in the industry for this establishment.
Okay.
So, yeah, one of the questions I was going to ask Mr. Hurdle is, why Baltimore? And I think you sort of answered that, which I appreciate. One of the questions I have is riders. Have you ever had any violations, any issues with your existing license?
We've had 0 violations at any of our locations.
And how long have you been a licensee?
3.5 years.
Okay. No issues there. And I, just echoing a little bit Commissioner Moore's concern about your father in Florida. You know, he is a 99% owner, and I do think it's critical that, you know, I understand he can't be here. I appreciate that. But I think it's, you know, I'm certain that he understands the responsibilities that this holds. And I, for one, appreciate the investment. But I, at least to the degree possible, when that permanent move occurs, I would love to know that there's some documentation in our file that has occurred, just because this is a large investment, and I appreciate that, and this is a big undertaking, and I truly hope you're successful, but the 99% investor, it's critical from my standpoint that they are engaged as much as possible.
Would a lease suffice in that situation?
Well, certainly a lease would be helpful from my perspective, but knowing that the significant majority owner is on the ground as much as possible, because we hope not to get to this place, but should you be approved here and should, you know, that occur, he's the one that'll have to come back on a violation, and we don't want that to happen. So again, I just would echo that any documentation would be helpful. But yes, a lease, you mean a residential lease?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, that would be helpful from my perspective. Mr. Chairman, I have nothing further.
Anything else?
So just to be clear, you are applying for the Class B beer, wine, and liquor license with off-premise catering, and that's it, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
We made some modifications because we had applied for a permit with the zoning, and then there was some sort of glitch and change of plans.
All right, because the letter from the community association references live entertainment and dancing, and we're all clear that that's not part of the application any longer.
The original application did have those, but with the zoning, again, there was some sort of hiccup. We wanted to get moving on this. It's something that we realized that if we do want, we'll sit down with community again, we'll sit down with zoning again, and then we'll come back here. And Mr. Propeska will be here at that time, of course.
I'd just like to add, in addition to the presence of why Baltimore? One, I've started my practice here, my financial planning practice. I'm here for the long run. And this has been a vision of mine, and that's why we've really partnered up. And I anticipate being there nights, weekends, and helping with the operation. So seeing this as, this has been a goal of mine for a number of years. So coming to fruition, I'll certainly be on premises a lot working with.
And Mr. Kraft, I appreciate that. I really do, and I appreciate your presence. I just think, again, back to the 99% is significant, and I appreciate all the work Mr. Popescu, I hope I didn't chop that up too much, has done, and all your investment. But I just, it's a concern, and I think you've addressed it, but I just want to make sure that we don't lose sight of it.
And we absolutely appreciate the concern. And hopefully, I don't anticipate any issue, but we do appreciate the concerns.
Yeah, and I guess just to echo, the real concern for me is the proximity to the school. I'm familiar with the building, I'm familiar with the location, I'm familiar with the need for something to happen. There's a lot happening in that area, and all of it is residential, and the two schools. So what you're bringing in is very, very, very different from what appears to be part of the plan to bring in more residential and have the access to the school. So the questioning is targeted to that and making sure that this is going to be managed and that there will be people on site that, both the Popescus are otherwise attention diverted. So just be careful.
Thank you.
Okay. On the two exhibits will be received in evidence on the basis of the materials that have been provided, the exhibits that have been provided, the proffers of counsel, and the testimony of the witnesses. I would vote to approve the application.
Why don't you go ahead, Mr. Commissioner?
I concur
Greenfield.
with the chairman. I appreciate this undertaking, and I'm hopeful, given the testimony, that you'll be sensitive to the concerns that Commissioner Moore has raised with respect to the deliveries in the schools. I think, from my perspective, you've gotten the message, and I concur with the chairman.
Okay. And I'm going to vote my conscience, and my conscience is telling me no, despite the deep investment, the work that you've done, and my reasons for saying no is the proximity to the schools, which is very, very proximate. And I also am not satisfied that there is a need for another brewery in this neighborhood where there's already one in existence. So my vote is no.
Okay, so the application is approved on a 2-to-1 vote. Thank you, gentlemen. Good luck with your venture.
Thank you, Commissioners. Maybe be excused.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think you have some paperwork over here.
Thank you. I'd like to call the exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, Business Plan. Applicant Exhibit 2, Letter of Support, New Greenmount West Community Association dated 12/30/2015. Thank you.
And can we stay on the record for that? And just to verify, when the check was done, this was the 45th legislative district, this particular location.
Okay, next case.
Hold on. Give me a second here. All right.
Calling case, Jacob Leffenfeld, Minnow LLC, trading as Minnow, 2 East Wells Street. There's an application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor license under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1609 A through B.
Thank you.
Good morning. Caroline Hecker, Rosenberg, Martin Greenberg. On behalf
you.
of the applicant, I'm joined by my colleague, Justin Williams, as well as the licensee applicant, Jacob Leffenfeld.
Good morning. Will Mr. Leffenfeld raise his right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you. This is an application for a new Class B license for 2 East Wells Street for a new restaurant called Minnow. It is Mr. Leffenfeld's second restaurant, so it does have heightened requirements, a seating capacity of 125 seats, a capital investment of $500,000, and average daily receipts from the sale of food of 51%. The prior board heard this case for the exact same location for a different restaurant. It was the most immediately prior board, so Commissioner Moore, you wouldn't remember it. But we were here before on exactly the same space. There was another restaurant that was proposed to go in this location called At Light's End, and they ran into some financial difficulties, ended up terminating their lease before the license was ever issued. So they never opened, and we're sort of starting over with a new application for a new license at this location. The licensed premises is 2 East 12th Street. It's an apartment building that was constructed about maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Has 153 apartment units. There is retail space on the first floor that's just under 6,000 square feet. Mr. Williams has handed up a packet of exhibits that includes an exterior photograph of the building, as well as the zoning approval from the zoning board and the site plan for the apartment building. This is located in an R8 zoning district, but because it's an apartment building that has more than 50 units, it is allowed to have an accessory restaurant in it, and we have a letter from the zoning administrator in the file as well confirming that the restaurant use is permitted. Now, the restaurant that's in question is called Minnow. It's going to be a casual seafood restaurant located in that first floor retail space. Mr. Leffenfeld is currently operates La Cuchara up in Clipper Mill. This is his second location. This is about half the size of La Cuchara, so it's a much more intimate, smaller, very friendly atmosphere. We've included some press articles from Baltimore Magazine and the Baltimore Sun in the packet that we've handed up. The concept is approachable, affordable, sustainable seafood with a menu that changes daily based on what's in season. They'll have a wine list with heavy Mediterranean influences. The goal is to be reasonably priced, create a place that's accessible for the neighbors to come regularly. There's a copy of their conceptual menu in the file as well, along with a copy of their floor plan, which shows a seating capacity of 125 seats, as well as 14 seats at the bar. We're not asking for live entertainment or outdoor table service in this request. There is also a capital investment breakdown in the file that shows a capital investment of $950,000. That capital investment was made by the landlord as part of the prior application for the prior tenant that was proposed to go in here. But obviously, since that license was never issued, it's not double dipping in the sense that we're counting the same capital investment twice. The money was spent by the landlord for a restaurant at this location. In addition, Mr. Leffenfeld and Minnow have spent about another $50,000 on their own sort of flourishes for the new restaurant. They're planning to open in May, so they're getting close to being ready to go. We have met with the Community Association on this, and I've included in the file a letter of support from the South Baltimore Neighborhood Association, as well as an MOU with that group governing the operation of the restaurant. We've also included a petition signed by residents of the 2 East 12th Street apartment building and 1901 South Charles Street, which is directly across the street. There are 170 signatures of residents in the immediate vicinity who support the application for a liquor license. With regard to the Class B requirements, the minimum seating capacity of 125 seats, as I said, the floor plan shows 125 seats as well as 14 seats at the bar, so we do meet the requirement of 125 seats. The capital investment requirement is $500,000, and here we have a capital investment of almost $1 million in the new restaurant. And given Mr. Leffenfeld's experience at La Cuchara, he doesn't anticipate having any difficulty meeting the 51% food requirement.
Can he be on 2 licenses?
He can be on two Class B licenses. One can be on up to 5 Class B licenses.
Okay.
As long as for the second license, you meet the heightened requirement of 125 seats and $500,000 as opposed to 75 seats and $200,000. Mr. Leffenfeld is an authorized person under Minnow LLC. He's a Maryland resident. He's actually a resident of the neighborhood where this is located. He lives on Light Street. He has experience working at bars and restaurants in that area, including Don't Know and Blue Agave, so he is very familiar with the area. He's familiar with the rules and regulations of the liquor board and, of course, agrees to abide by them. He's had no violations at La Cuchara since he's been operating over there. With regard to the public need and desire for the license, I think that's demonstrated by the letter of support from the Community Association and the petition with 170 signatures of folks who live in the area who are excited about the restaurant coming in and support the application. We don't expect this to have any impact on existing licensees. There's really not a lot going on that far down in South Baltimore. There are very few restaurants and licensees in the neighborhood, and this really will serve a need that exists. And it is a unique restaurant concept in that it will feature a seafood menu. There's nothing similar in this area, so it will serve a unique need to the neighborhood. We aren't expecting that there will be any impact on health, safety, general welfare. Again, this is supported by the local community association. We do have a representative of the landlord here present, Jason Schubert, who would testify that the landlord obviously has an interest in making sure that this isn't a disruptive operation, since there are 153 apartments directly above it that they want to make sure that are not disturbed by the operation. So for these reasons, we would request that the board approve the new liquor license for this location.
And what is a clam belly roll?
I'm going to have to defer to Mr. Levenfeld on that.
We want to proffer.
So one of the things that our chef is great on is working with some small seafood purveyors. A lot of contacts, and that's what we use at La Cuchara. We use a lot of local farms, a lot of seafood purveyors that are a little bit small. As far as a clam belly roll, very similar to maybe a lobster roll, but you're utilizing different clams that are in season. Yeah, not as fancy as lobster, but I promise you equally as delicious.
So I didn't realize clams had bellies. I guess that's, I think that's what's, isn't that what you're
I mean,
reacting
if we
to?
want, I could talk specifics on the clam belly for an hour. Okay.
No, thank you.
Commissioners?
I had a question about the petition. What's in the packet has addresses, what's in our binder does not, that we were provided by staff. The addresses were redacted. Are you
Oh.
aware of that?
I'm not, actually.
Yeah. So, at least mine were. It's not like I'm going to go to anybody's house and ask them, did you sign this, but
In the packet that I handed out, there should have been, I
staff decision?
A PII, personal identifiable information. Once we got the packet, because we posted it online, as per the SOPs, as per the Attorney General, when we publish things of this nature, we need to protect the personal information of those petitioners. So when we published, we didn't publish. But in our records, we actually have the unredacted version.
Okay, and then we've been provided copies by you that have it. So almost everyone that signed is at 1901 South Charles Street. So
it's directly
I mean,
across the street, yeah.
which is right across the street from the location.
Yeah, we circulated petitions in both buildings.
Okay. All right. I think that was the only question I had. I'm familiar with La Cuchara. If you do hear what you do there, I think you're pretty good.
So you understand, obviously, I'm sure your counsel, where you're located in where La Cuchara is very different than Federal Hill, and I appreciate your landlord representative being here, who was here obviously to, support you and recognizes the same thing. So I suspect you recognize it's a much different environment, and can you just briefly speak to that?
Absolutely. One thing that I think I absolutely bring to the table, living in Federal Hill for close to 9 or 10 years now, we think that the style of cuisine, the service that we provide, as far as our staff being well-rounded with our menu, is going to be well-received in Federal Hill. Now, that's not saying that the exact same business plan would work, because, as you mentioned, it is quite a different area with different clientele. But we think that for a lower price point, still with the high quality of food and service, that it's a need that needs to be met in Federal Hill for our guests.
Great. And then lastly, I noticed that your brother Ben has about 23% more ownership in this license than you do. Did you lose in rock, paper, scissors to him? How did this play out?
He's the older brother, so he.
I have nothing further.
I don't know if it was mentioned, but we were provided an agreement between yourself and the South Baltimore Improvement Committee, which I take as the memorandum of
MOU,
understanding.
yes.
And you know that that'll be part of the license. and-
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. The exhibits that were submitted will be received in evidence, and on the basis of those, as well as the proffers from counsel, the other materials in the application and testimony of the prospective licensee, I would vote to approve the license subject to the terms of the MOU.
Thank you.
I would as well. Look out for that older brother, though.
Thank you.
I concur. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, Business Plan Packet. Board Exhibit 1, MOU between applicants and South Baltimore Neighborhood Association. Board Exhibit 2, Revised Floor Plan. Board Exhibit 3, Petition of Support from Residents. Thank you.
Calling the next case, Aaron Hammonds and Samari Wyatt, A&O Hammonds Group Incorporated, trading as Shipyard Pub, 3500 O'Donnell Street. This is a Class BD7 beer wine liquor license. This is an application to transfer ownership.
Morning.
If the commission, please, Frank Schullis, representing the applicant.
Good morning.
This is-
Can I ask these gentlemen to raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
We do.
I do.
And gentlemen, will you each state your name, please?
Aaron Hammonds.
Samori Wyatt.
Okay, good morning. Yes, sir.
Morning.
Your Honor, please, this is a transfer of a pre-existing BD7 license at 3500 O'Donnell Street. The transfer is the landlord and also the present license holder. We believe there is a letter of support from the Canton Community Association in the file somewhere.
We have the letter.
Oh, good. Now, briefly, Mr. Hammonds, would you describe your background for the commission?
Yes. Aaron Hammonds. So my background is business management. That's what my degree is in. I am a 10-year military veteran, disabled, medically retired. I own about four different businesses: government contracting, real estate, commercial, IT, and cybersecurity. I'm in different fields, but business management. So what I'm bringing to the table is the financial, administrative, and management process to this business.
Thank you. And Mr. Wyatt, would you describe your background?
Hello, I'm Sam Wyatt. I have over 20 years in the restaurant industry. I've been head bartender, head chef, general manager, assistant general manager. I've worked in everything from corporate to neighborhood pubs, and I found the neighborhood pubs are my specialty, which is why we decided to tackle this one on.
Are you going to be the on-premises guy?
Absolutely. I'll be the general manager, operating, face of the place.
Okay. And how many employees do you think you'll have?
We should have 12 to 17 employees.
Okay.
And where are some of the places that you've worked?
All right. Well, I was a head cook at TGI Fridays. I was a head bartender at a Mediterranean restaurant in Annapolis. It was just called Kima. I was a manager at Davis's Pub in Annapolis, a little neighborhood pub. I was an assistant general manager of O'Bricky's in BWI Airport. I was the assistant general manager of Expectation in Ellicott City. It's a $6 million restaurant. And I was the general manager of Plates Restaurant in the Merritt downtown.
Thank you.
Can't keep a job?
I love running places.
Okay. Questions, commissioners?
Which Fridays were you working at?
Annapolis.
Annapolis. Okay. Do you know a lady named Zara Moore?
It's not jumping out at me, no,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. It sounds like you're eminently qualified and like upwardly mobile, so
Thank
with,
you.
with the jobs. I guess my question is this, it looks like this license last transferred August 2016.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
this is pretty quick for another transfer. Would you talk a little bit about this license and why it's being
Why it's
transferred?
transferring?
Yes.
Truthfully?
Yes, truthfully,
Okay,
always.
The licensee has an older brother who's very successful in the restaurant business and
The
a very
license-
successful restaurateur. And he thought that he could go into this thing, and I know both of them, I represent both of them. He thought he'd go into this thing and make out like his brother did, and he found out it's a little harder than it seems.
The current licensee, the transferor. Okay.
Current license.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So this is Lear's, is that correct? Currently
That's
Lear's, and I do
correct,
recall
sir.
that case from August.
No, it's actually Shipyard Cafe now. I changed the name. There should have been a letter in the file.
Yeah, no, I do see that, Mr. Schultz. It was in front of us as Lear's
Yes.
back in August, and I actually live a couple blocks from Lear's, so it's good to hear that something will be happening there. And I appreciate your service, sir, and your experience, and look forward to voting on this.
Very well.
Anything further?
No.
Okay, on the basis of the application, the letter of support from the Canton Community Association, the proffer of counsel, and the testimony of the prospective licensees, I'd vote to approve the transfer.
I do as well.
I concur. Good luck.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioner, board members.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter of support from Canton Community Association dated 3/18/2017. Thank you.
Calling the next case, Miguel Moraga and Yana Blankson, El Coyote Grill LLC, trading as El Coyote Bar and Grill, 807 South Broadway. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. This is an application to transfer ownership.
Good morning.
Good morning. Caroline Hecker, Rosenberg, Martin Greenberg, on behalf of the applicant. I'm joined by my colleague Justin Williams, as well as Miguel Moraga and Raul Osorio, his father.
Can I ask these gentlemen to raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, and you're Mr. Moraga? And you are,
Sorry, Mr. Osorio. Raul Osorio.
can you speak up, come up to the microphone?
Raul Osorio.
And how do you spell your name?
R-A-U-L, last name Osorio, O-S-O-R-I-O.
Thank you.
O-S-O.
O-S-O-R-I-O.
All right.
Okay, Mr. Osorio.
And Mr. Moraga is our licensee applicant. Our Baltimore City licensee applicant, Inanna Blankson, unfortunately is on vacation out of the country this week, and she wasn't available to attend the hearing, but she is on the license currently and will be staying on the license going forward.
Okay, and what is this? This is at South Broadway?
Yes, this is at 807 South Broadway. This is an application to transfer the BD7 license at the same location to a new owner. This is a license that was held by Broadway Group LLC. It was originally operated as Rye, a cocktail bar that was located there until last March when they terminated their lease and they moved down the street to Thames Street. Broadway Group had been looking for a new tenant. Since then, the board approved a hardship extension in October, and then we filed this application to transfer the license to their new tenant, El Coyote, in the beginning of February. El Coyote is actually open and operating there. They don't have a liquor license yet. They're not serving alcoholic beverages, but they are operating the restaurant at this location. In the file that you've handed out, there is a photograph showing the location of the licensed premises on Broadway. As I said, was an existing license at this location. It's now going to be operated as a Mexican restaurant called El Coyote Bar and Grill. There's a copy of their conceptual menu in the file as well. This will be the second establishment operated by Raul and Miguel. Raul has a restaurant called El Bucanas Cafe in Riverdale in Prince George's County. His son, Miguel, is going to be operating this one with his assistants. But they'll both be involved in the day-to-day operations of the restaurant. As I said, they are open now, and they are planning to add alcoholic beverage service as an amenity to their customers as soon as the license transfer is approved. I've included a copy of the floor plan in the file as well. You'll see it does look more like a restaurant than a bar. This really, although it is a BD7 license, it really does operate more as a restaurant. It's too small to qualify for a new Class B restaurant license. It only has 48 seats. There are only 7 bar stools. There's no gathering standing area, live entertainment area or anything like that. There are some photographs showing the interior layout in the file as well. We have met with the 2 local community associations, the Fells Point Residents Association and the Fells Point Community Association. There's a letter of support from the Fells Point Residents Association in the file and an email from the Fells Point Community Association. They've asked for a couple of conditions on our license, which we have no objection to. They relate to the hours of operation. They'd like it to be Monday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Friday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m., with the kitchen closing 1 hour before the establishment closes, and no outdoor table service and live entertainment. And as I said, we're completely agreeable to those conditions. They're in line with what we would be planning to do anyway. Mr. Osorio and Inanna Blankson are both are individual licensee applicants. They're both authorized people under the LLC. Mr. Osorio has grown up in the restaurant business working with his father. He is also completing his studies at Morgan State University in the evening. Ms. Blankson, as I said, is on the license currently, and she'll continue to serve as the Baltimore City licensee. They're both familiar with the rules and regulations of the Liquor Board and would agree to abide by them. With regard to the public need and desire for the license, as I said, we do have letters of support from the 2 community associations in the area. This is not anticipated to have an impact on any existing licensees. There was a license there previously. It's still there. This is not an addition of a new license that'll compete with existing licensees. It does offer a unique restaurant concept. It's authentic Mexican cuisine. There's nothing similar in the immediate vicinity, although certainly there are other Mexican restaurants in Baltimore, but in this area, it does provide a uniqueness of services. And it is not anticipated to have any negative impact on health, safety, or general welfare. This is really more of a restaurant than a tavern. We're not asking for live entertainment or outdoor seating. And again, the community associations both support the transfer of the license. For those reasons, we would request that the board approve the license transfer.
Are you going to have a Mexican clam belly roll?
Let's hope not.
Quesadilla with clams? I don't know. But anyway, okay.
About the Matriciana quesadilla.
Commissioners, do you have questions?
I do not have any questions.
I do not.
Okay, thank you, and that was very comprehensive as usual. So on the basis of the materials that have been provided to us, which will be received, the letters of support from the two community organizations, the restrictions that have been agreed to from the Fells Point Community Organization, and the proffers and testimony, I would vote to approve the transfer subject to those restrictions.
And I join in approving.
I concur as well. Good luck.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's call over exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, business plan package. Thank you.
One second.
Calling the next case, Ki Jong Lee and Kai Song Chong, Jaja Liquors Incorporated, trading as Shamrock Liquors, 4300 Bel Air Road. This is a Class A beer, wine, liquor license. It's an application to transfer ownership.
For the record, Melvin J. Gudensky representing the applicants. I'm standing in for Mr. David Wu, who is the attorney of record here.
Can I ask the gentleman to raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And can you each state your name, please?
K-I-J-U-N-G-L-E-E. K-Y-E-S-U-N-G Chung.
C-H-U-N-G. Mr. Lee, have you ever been represented by the law firm Whiteford Taylor Preston?
Do you know if you've been represented? I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
Is that yes or a no?
You haven't had his law firm represent you, Whiteford Taylor? No?
No.
Okay, thank you. I was just checking for my conflicts. All right, Mr. Kudensky, what can you tell us about this transfer?
This is a transfer of an existing location. The current Mr. Lee has had liquor stores. He's had places from 2010 up until just recently. He is familiar with the rules and regulations of the Liquor Board. He's taken the alcohol awareness course. The current city resident is really not going to be involved in the business, but he's here to show his support. The file history of that Mr. Lee had is indicated, so he's not a stranger that with regard to minors. I asked him what he would be doing to make different this time. He said he's going to absolutely have everybody alcohol certified. He's going to check everybody's cards when they come in. He has talked with the people in the neighborhood. The one organization person who talked to had indicated, and he'll tell you that if you want to ask him, that they don't have any objection to him taking over this business. It's been there for quite some time, and it's going to be run 6 days a week from 10 in the morning till 12 at night. Closed on Sundays, of course.
So Mr. Lee's been associated with any number of different places, is that correct?
Correct.
And in each place, he's had problems with sales to minors.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. And this time, he's going to hire better personnel? Is that the answer?
Well, it's a small place. It's going to be him and another person who's going to hire. Is going to put them through more intensive training they did before. There was, what's the name of the song that Great White has? Once bitten, twice shy. This is twice bitten, 3 times shy. But he absolutely, and I went over it with him and talked with Mr. David Wu, his attorney. Said, listen, you know, you're not a stranger. It's not your first rodeo here when it comes in. You've got to understand that you've had these violations in the past. Make sure it doesn't continue here, and he understands that, and he understands it's his investment. It's at stake here.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
Why should we give you a license, given this rather rich history of violations, and it's the same violation of sales to minors?
or this new people, this new people, this training time, this mistake, there's somebody dead, new people, and then transport time.
So the record is violations that start in 2011 and one violation, one in 2013 and two in 2015. It looks like every establishment that you've owned since 2011, there's been the sales to minors violation, which is a pretty serious violation. What's going to change that will prevent this from happening at the new location, if we approve?
Commissioner Zed, what's going to be different this time that didn't happen in the past? What's going to be different?
I'm new people this and then employee this and then a nice guy. This I'm studying that and then I'm new system this and then new people this employee this I'm try last time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I am really troubled by this history, and I'm not convinced, based on your response to Commissioner Moore's question, that that this is something that you're going to really take seriously. I understand that there are points of sale systems and other systems to require that someone checks, an ID before they serve someone. This is, sorry, we had a musical interlude there. I need, Mr. Lee, I need something more here, because this, I don't know why we would approve this in a neighborhood or in a community, given this history from 2011 up until 2015 of incidents of serving minors.
Yeah, this and then new people this training time and they mistake him that and then my name is license this my name transport time this Mr. Kim this and the 2 time this violation this yeah my name their license there.
So when you say new people, what can you explain?
The Mr. Kim this and then what is 211 or what store?
He was trying to say that he's, in the period of transferring one of the other stores, Mr. Kim was running it, and that's where the violations occurred, although his name was still on the license.
I don't have anything further.
Anything further?
No.
Well, this is not an easy one because, Mr. Lee, your name was on the license during the periods when these violations occurred, and it makes us very reluctant to trust you again. But I will. I'm going to give you an opportunity to do this, but if you come back here with a sale to minor, you're going to get as severe a penalty as we can invoke, closing it down for periods of time. You understand that you have to take this very seriously.
Yes.
If you have to make sure the people you hire understand it and do it 100% of the time.
Yes.
You do not want to come back here.
Okay. Yes,
I
sir.
don't know how my other commissioners are going to feel about it, but I'll vote to approve it.
I do not vote to approve. I vote to deny the license. I vote to deny the transfer, and here's why. One of the things that we hear over and over and over again is the incidents of licensees who are in neighborhoods that are causing harm in the neighborhood. And one of the greater harms are the sales to minors. And you have a healthy record of having done just that, not once and learning a lesson, and not twice and learning the lesson, or even 3 times and learning the lesson and changing your policies and practices so as to avoid that in the future. 4 times. There have been 4 violations. And that's with every place that you've owned that you have been the license on. And I just think that as a community responsibility, it is our responsibility to deny you this transfer at this time. In addition to the healthy record of violations. Your testimony today does not give us any, or me, I'll just speak for me, does not give any real understanding of the seriousness of the violations, nor is there any testimony about what you have actually done to change the practices of the operations of your businesses. Commissioner Greenfield mentioned the point of sales. There's computers and registers that would help with that. There's no testimony about that at all. And it's not enough to say that all of these violations are the fault of someone else. The common denominator is you, and you are here today with nothing that suggests anything different. So I just feel strongly that this is one of the responsibilities of this board, is to carefully vet who gets a license, and the background here and the record here strongly suggest, and it's recent history, recent experiences suggest that at this time you are not a person who should have a liquor license, so I vote no.
And I'm going to concur with Commissioner Moore. I don't have the confidence, and the evidence presented has not given me the confidence that Mr. Lee has learned from his lessons.
Okay, on the basis then of the evidence presented, the application is denied on a vote of 2-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any exhibits?
No exhibits, thank you.
Mr. Kudinski, did you get that?
No, there's nothing here.
Calling the next case, David Redman and Emmanuel Fishelman, Building 2 Cafe LLC, trading as Cafe Gourmet, 801 West Baltimore Street. There's a Class B beer, wine, liquor license. It's an application to transfer ownership with continuation of outdoor table service.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Linda Carter, and I'm with the law firm of Myers, Rodbell, and Rosenbaum. You'll have to forgive me. This is about all the voice I have left. And
Good
today I
morning.
have with me, I'm going to let them introduce themselves. for the
Let me
record.
first ask them to raise their right hands, okay?
Let's get you some water.
Swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
And my name is Manny Fishelman. I'm a associate at Myers, Rodbell, and Rosenbaum.
Please don't hold that against him.
I'm Dave Redmond. I am one of the operators of Cafe Gourmet, which is on the liquor license.
Yeah. We are here today asking for a transfer of the existing Class B beer and wine license from the existing owners to the new owners. The corporate entity is not changing, but the upstream ownership is. The building has recently sold, and as part of the sale, the new owners have acquired the business known as Cafe Gourmet. There are going to be absolutely no operational changes. It continues. I think it's been open for close to 7 years. And you've been there for 7 years, and pleased to say without violation, knock wood. And it really services the people in the campus, has very limited hours you're open from.
We're open Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So it's only 42 hours a week. No weekends, no evenings, no live entertainment.
And David is on the premises 20 hours a week. He also has 2 full-time managers, both of whom have current alcohol awareness certificates. David was certified. He's let his lapse. We're going to take care of that. And I would represent for the record that with the exception of one change, please, we decided we would be nice and take off 40 years from his age. When I looked at the application today, I
don't look
noticed
21,
that
do
he was born in 1995. If we could please amend that to reflect 1955, right? 55?
I prefer 95.
Well, yeah, but we've got to do the truth here, okay? Other than that, I would represent to the board that all of the representations made in the application are true and correct as the applicants appear before you today, that they're both familiar with the rules and regulations, that Manny is a qualified applicant and an overall good guy. I can speak personally
Is he
to that.
transitioning out of the practice of law?
Not hardly. Not yet. Not yet. He's much too young, Your Honor. Much too young.
He was born in 1995.
Yeah, really. Yeah, much too young. Anyway, that would be our case.
Okay. Do the commissioners have questions?
No.
I do not.
Not at all.
Okay, on the basis of what you've presented to us, the application materials that we have here, and the little testimony we've gotten from the applicants, I would vote to approve the transfer.
I would vote to approve.
I concur.
Thank you so much.
very much.
And for the water as well. Greatly appreciated.
There are no exhibits for the record. Thank you. Oh, no problem.
You all have a great staff.
We do.
do.
Thank you.
We do. Very much so.
Too bad, what's her name wasn't here.
Calling next case, David Tobosh, Soldi Fossa LLC, trading as The Chaucer, 3326 through 28 Foster Avenue. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. It's a request to expand the premise to include the third floor.
You've been very patient, Mr. Fogelman.
Thank you. It's been quite an interesting docket. Listen to Mr. Kudetsky quote Great White. I mean, that doesn't happen every day. So, very briefly, since I was been here, I have been in the front office at the Liquor Board filing over 25 renewal applications over the last 10 days, and I've got to give credit to your staff. I'm on the other side as a customer now. Under the watchful eye of Ms. Russell and the administrative staff, Ms. Robinson and Ms. Branch have been tremendous, and I just want to thank you.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you very much. Can I ask this gentleman to raise his right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And your name, sir?
David Tobash.
Okay. And you want to add a third floor?
Correct.
And that's been approved by the zoning people, and the Canton Community Association is on board. Anything else you want to tell us?
No, we'd be happy to share with you floor plans, dinner menu, et cetera. But if nothing else, let me share with you, some emails were forwarded to the board, some have not. There's a lot of emails in support, including, most importantly, the adjoining neighbors, in addition to Canton Community Association.
Any opposition?
None at all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do the commissioners have questions?
We were handed a large stack of papers, and usually when we get a stack this large, it's
Yeah, bad news.
objections.
Right.
And I'm halfway through, but it appears that they're all in support.
Yeah, he did some good grassroots before I even got involved to reach out to people and give him Doug Page's email address, what I probably would not have recommended for the office's sake, because I know you have to print everyone out. But nevertheless, he's done a nice job of rallying support from his customers who love his restaurant. And I live 2 blocks away, so I count myself in on that.
Okay, you don't get this level of support unless you're doing something right. So could you just give us a little bit of information about the restaurant, what you do, why do you feel that you've got lots of support?
We do a lot of benefits and charity. Last night, we had the Canton Community Association benefit at our restaurant. You know, we give proceeds back to the community. So, you know, we're a local bar, restaurant, and everyone in the community comes, and they enjoy our food and the atmosphere, and it's as simple as that, I guess.
So, but on a day-to-day basis, like if there were complaints, how do you respond, or do you even get complaints about your operations?
Not necessarily, no. And if we do, you know, we take care of it all the time.
Let me jump in here. One of the reasons he's such a great operator, he lives a block from the restaurant. That never hurts, because you have to deal with our parking and all of the issues of the residents, so you feel it clearly directly. So.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
I just one comment, Mr. Chairman. I would like you guys to keep the lettuce wraps on your menu.
They are.
because
That's
it's
actually the new menu we sent.
fan
I
favorite.
guess.
I don't need to look.
And
I just
consider the clam belly.
I know.
A new favorite. Okay.
Cranberry lettuce wraps.
I'll receive all the materials that were provided here this morning, and on the basis of the application materials and your testimony and proffers from council, I'd vote to approve the expansion.
I would as well, and thank you
Try the
for,
lettuce wraps one time.
say that again?
Come try the lettuce wraps.
Sure,
Moore,
I would love one right now. Very.
I'll join you. I'm a couple blocks away. I concur as well. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
All right, best of luck.
Yes. I'd like to call the exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, 23 letters and emails of support. Applicant Exhibit 1, 22 letters / emails of support. Thank you.
That concludes our morning docket. We'll recess till 1:30 and resume with the violation docket. Yes.
Good afternoon. This is the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's afternoon docket. Today is Thursday, March 30th. The board will be hearing all violation cases. If you have a cell phone, please silent it or put it on vibrate. When your case is called, please come up to the podium and state your name into the microphone. And if you're going to be giving testimony, please be prepared to be sworn in. Calling the first case on the afternoon docket, Stephanie O., S&S Liquor Corporation, trading as S&S Liquors, 2135 East North Avenue. This is a Class BD7 beer wine liquor license. It's a violation of Rule 4.20C II. Class BD7 licenses open and operating tavern at all times, and a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, and also a violation of Rule 4.20C 2I, Class BD7 licenses, open and operating tavern at all times.
May I ask everybody to raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Are you Ms. O?
Yes.
Ms. O, one of the entities listed was SCS Holdings. Do you know if that entity's ever been represented by Whiteford, Taylor, and Preston?
I'm sorry, SNS?
SCS Holdings? Or maybe it was SNS Holdings, I'm not sure.
It should be SNS.
Yes.
Like the letter S.
Yes.
Yes.
Did they ever have my law firm as representing them, do you know?
Oh,
You don't think so? Okay, all right. Do you have any objection to me sitting on the case?
No.
Okay. So you're charged with 3 rule violations. 4.20C small I for operating or not operating the tavern side of the establishment. 4.16 for having your charter forfeited by Department of Assessments and Taxation, and 4.20C II as well for a different date for not having the tavern portion operating. Are you aware of those charges?
I am aware of most of those charges.
Okay. Do you wish to contest those charges, or do you wish to admit those charges, the violations?
Admit.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you understand the difference? If you contest them, I'll have the inspector and officers testify about what they observed. If you admit it, I will assume that what they wrote down here is correct, and then I'll let you explain to me whatever you want to tell me.
That's fine. I admit.
Okay, okay. Just wanted to be clear about that.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Each charge.
As to each charge, yes. There are 3. You understand that? 3 charges.
I think so.
2 of them are for the same offense, but different dates, and one of them is for the offense of having your... Let's start with the easier one. Has your charter been reinstated?
I believe so.
Do you have any evidence of that?
No, I do not.
Oh, okay. What makes you think it was?
Because it's renewal time. Is that what you're asking me, a renewal?
I don't know why it was forfeited. Did you pay personal property taxes? And
It's through the State Department.
it's the State Department of Assessments and Taxation. It's your corporate charter.
Yes. Oh. Is there a way that I can ask something off the record?
Well, not off the record, but go ahead and ask.
Well, I wasn't sure if that was for IRS-related things. Is that what that is in relation
It's
to?
possible that there are taxes owed.
Yes.
Have they been paid?
They are in the process of being paid.
Okay. Do you have some plan worked out with the Department of Assessments and Taxation?
Well, we have a partial, I believe, there's a lien, and then they take out money.
So they're taking it on a regular basis?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Do you have any idea when your charter will be reinstated? Or have they reinstated it and you're under this payment plan? Is that what it is?
We are under a payment plan.
Okay. And now, tell me, on July 28th, 2016, the Baltimore City Police Department did an inspection and discovered that the bar area of the tavern was not properly set up for patrons. Stools were stacked off to the side. Personal items were on the bar. And the sink was not in use. Beer coolers had personal food stored in with the alcohol. And they advised the bar manager that that was a violation of our rule. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have anything you want to tell us about that?
it's been cleared and should stay cleared. This is just an unfortunate.
Well, who works at the S&S Liquors?
My mother.
Just your mother?
My mother and father, yes.
Mother and father, okay. So they run the operation?
Yes.
Okay. And was one of them present on July 28th, 2016?
Yes, I believe it was my father.
Okay. And so after they were told about this, you say they cleared everything?
Yes, and it's a thing that I remind them of frequently, so it should be taken care of.
Because on October 18th, 3 months later, Inspector Howard went there and observed that there was trash stock and other materials on the bar, the stool's upside down, so the same situation was in place.
Yes.
Okay.
I apologize for that.
Okay. So what's, this is a continuing violation. I mean, it's going to go on, and, you know, your license is subject to fine and suspension for this. So is there some plan in place to try to remedy the situation?
I think that we'd probably just need to do some basic re-reno to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Like what?
I think that we need to make sure that part of the inventory, which I know is partially an issue, should be completely out of sight for customers to see.
I mean, I guess what the question is, are you operating the tavern?
Yes,
Do you have patrons on a regular basis?
I'm not sure personally because I do not run the business.
Do you want one of your parents to testify? You don't have to, but...
No.
Okay, all right. Okay, the commissioners have questions.
You're Ms. O?
Yes, I'm Ms. O.
And you are the licensee?
Yes, I am.
How often are you at the tavern?
I used to be there quite frequently. I used to be there like almost every day. I had children, and I no longer hold that primary position.
How often are you there?
Twice a year.
Twice a year. Okay. I think that might be part of the problem.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
Yes. Well, my children are getting older, so I do plan on being more active. If I must come and regulate, then I will do that.
Because we have these fresh violations in front of us, and you've been the licensee since 2008, is that correct?
That's correct.
So the violations also, there were violations in 2012 and 2015. So, you know, sitting here, what the narrative is, this is a place now that I would say is not being managed at all, and there's a healthy record of violations, and you know, it's not a good narrative.
I agree, and I think that my son will be going to school this fall, so that I think I will have to be more active.
How old are your children?
3 and 7 months.
Okay. Whatever happens in terms of the findings and whatever follows from that, I think you've got to come up with a plan, because obviously you're the licensee, you're absent, completely absent. Your parents are there, they don't seem to understand, just by the pattern that's been laid out, what the rules are, and the violations are going to be mounting, and it's not good.
Yes, so I will take a more active role as soon as fall.
That's not good enough.
Okay.
As soon as this fall is what you said?
Oh, I mean, would you like me to come next week? I can do that. I mean, whatever you like, I can do everything as soon as possible, but I just figured that I would be able to physically be more active to come out to the property. But if you'd like me to do something prior to that, I can go ahead and start managing a little bit more vigorously.
If I could, Commissioner Moore?
Oh, yes, please.
Ms. O, this is a license, it's a privilege.
Yes.
And I'm not sure you understand the seriousness of these charges in light of your past, your previous violations, and I'm not sure you understand that we could revoke this license and that asset would be gone. I understand the children, and I certainly understand that, and I appreciate the fact
No,
that you have to.
I don't expect to use this as an
No,
excuse.
no, and I don't think you are, but I understand that you have to balance. But please know that these are some serious things, and you've come to us without really, in my opinion so far, without any specific plan. You want us to approve something or make a decision based upon the fact that you will be present in the fall. You ought to be present now. And I think what worries me is that these pictures are not very, the pictures that I see from the detective and the inspector are troubling. And there's a history here. And this privilege could be gone. And so I do think, to Commissioner Moore's point, you need a plan today, whether you're going to recognize that perhaps you're unable to actually operate this establishment, because in my opinion, the fall is not good enough.
I will work diligently.
I mean, this afternoon is what is needed. This is serious.
Okay.
You know, I think, let me just be frank, okay? Your mother and father are running the place. You're the licensee. You have nothing to do with this business. You do not. Your parents are running it. They have no idea how to run it. Period. This, to me, is a case where serious action needs to be taken. And there's nothing. There's just nothing. And I don't know whether your parents have anything to add. Do you think your parents have anything to add that would help us
I'm sure,
understand?
but my father is actually not here right now. My mom's here. If you'd like, she can speak, but I don't think that would be very beneficial. She's not as articulate.
Do they have anybody helping them run this place on the day-to-day basis?
We do have someone that comes, a family friend that comes to help, but he is also doing he has personal issues going on, so it's not very consistent.
Okay.
But I can obviously be more consistent.
You know, when they were, not only was your license forfeited in October, but there was no trader's license issued to the establishment either. I mean, no one is managing and controlling the place, and it's a very large concern. And we're not mean to beat up on you, Ms. O, but I think you're over your head.
I will definitely need to outsource.
Yes, and I don't know, you know, if you're earning enough money to be able to do it or what the problem is, but you know, these penalties are going to just keep stacking up. So you got to get somebody to get control if you're going to continue the operation.
What is this cross street? You're 2135 East North Avenue.
Collington?
Yes, Collington is the cross street.
Collington.
She's right on the corner.
Where is it in relation to the district court? Greenmount Avenue.
I would say maybe.
No, North Avenue.
Yeah,
At least maybe 10, 12 blocks. Because she's at Collington and North, and North Avenue is right there.
One at a time, guys. You guys know the drill here.
All right, let me ask a specific question. If I'm at March Funeral Homes and I want to go east, will I come to SNS Liquor?
No, you'll come to the courthouse.
I'll get to the courthouse.
First,
and then I'll get to the
cross Broadway and then go down the hill, and then you'll get to her.
With the staff.
Okay, so you're where all the road construction is, where North Avenue is being repaved. Okay.
Actually, no.
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 Isn't it
Okay.
It's right before the cemetery.
Oh, you're right before the Greenmount Cemetery?
Okay.
I could see it.
All right, and so you tend to, have you been there recently?
No.
Are you aware of loitering issues there?
That's not new.
That's not new. Okay. Okay. You're right across from the gas station,
Kind of.
a little
like-
bit before the
yeah.
gas station. Okay, I got it. I'm just getting perspective. Okay, thank you very
Well,
much.
let's take this one thing at a time. There are allegations of 3 rule violations, one on July 28, 2016 for 4.20C2, one on October 18, 2016 for the same rule, and then the other one with respect to your charter, which is on October 16, 2016, that's Rule 4.16. And on the basis of what the officers and inspectors have given us to that and your admission of these violations, I'm going to find that there were rule violations. And I'll ask my fellow commissioners if they agree, and then we'll talk about what we can do about it.
I agree that there are rule violations.
I agree as well.
Okay. So, if I get the sense that you're not making a fortune running this operation. And so I don't want to be extremely punitive to you, but you've got serious problems, and somebody has to get a handle on it very quickly, or you won't be able to keep the place. So I'm thinking in terms of imposing fines as to each of the violations. I wanted to have a sense of what my colleagues think is appropriate.
This is difficult. This obviously is a place that is not doing well for itself, and it's not doing at all well for the community. The violations are definitely have piled up. There's just no one at the helm. I don't think any amount of money is going to correct the problems that exist. All right. So as I see it, this is a case where the license, at a minimum, should be suspended, if not revoked, because this is sort of Exhibit A of everything that can go wrong with a license.
Well, let me interrupt, Commissioner. You may be correct there. What about something like a 30-day suspension to give them a chance to clean this operation up?
That would be the minimum. I mean, that would be, I think that this case cries for it. And yes.
So Mr. Chairman, I agree with you with the suspension. And I'm struggling, candidly, Ms. O, with whether, as Commissioner Moore said, whether any fine would have any impact. And it's clear that your charter's been forfeited. You've got a lien. These are some serious financial concerns you have. I recognize that. So that's what I'm frankly struggling with. But I do think a suspension of that magnitude to get in there and clean this up.
I mean, we could fine you, because it's not the first violation, up to $3,000 per rule violation. I don't want to do that. But the place needs to be cleaned up. It's a mess. You need to get somebody, whether it's you or somebody else, to get in there, straighten out the management of the charter or the trader's license, make sure the tavern is operating on a regular basis. So if we give you a month to get those things in order, perhaps you can do that and decide whether this is going to be an ongoing operation or whether you need to close it down. But that is my suggestion, if the other commissioners agree.
It's a busy location. There's a lot of activity there.
I'm sorry, but okay, yes, I just feel like a month. Okay, it's not up to me, so yeah, I am very much listening and accepting of.
I just think when you put your case in a line with other cases that we've heard that are similar, we have, I mean, this board and other boards would close you for 30, 60, 90 days. And I personally think that that's warranted, but there's, I think that when we look at everything that's happening here, I feel like this is a family situation that you will have got to get a handle on. And your dad's not here, your mom is here. You've said enough to convince me that there's communication issues, if not capacity issues. You don't have the capacity to be there. You've said that with your 3-month-old and they're not an excuse, but they're an explanation. I just think the 30 days is the very least that this board needs to do in exercising our responsibilities.
So, and I want to say that you've been very honest with us, and I appreciate that. And I know this is difficult, but it's an operation that if you can get it under control, maybe you all can make a go of it. But right now, it's not operating properly. So the license will be suspended for 30 days. Why don't we say starting tomorrow? And there will be no fine imposed, but I think there's a $125 administrative cost. Okay?
The last thing I'd add is that we're not just a board that regulates. The staff, they are very, very, very good. And I don't know if you were here in the morning, but they are very good at helping navigate our myriad rules and making suggestions on how to stay within the law. And I would strongly encourage you to give a call and talk to either Mr. Akris or Mr. Page and get some guidance on how to improve.
They will try to help you. Okay?
They will.
Thank you.
Did we vote? I think we did. We did vote. Okay.
Yep, you're done. Thank you. I'd like to call this exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department Report, Detective Greenhill. Board Exhibit 2, SSTAT database printout. Board Exhibit 3, Maryland business license results. Board Exhibit 4, investigation report, Inspector John Howard. Exhibit 5, photos. Thank you.
Call the next case, Annie Winston, trading as Winston Lounge, 2343 East Monument Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, liquor license. It's a violation of Rule 4.05A, prohibited hours, and also a violation of Rule 4.05B, prohibited hours.
Melvin J. Kineski for the applicant, for the licensee, excuse me.
Yeah,
I was once an applicant at one time.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kanansky. Could we, that's not Annie Winston?
No, and Miss Winston is ill in North Carolina. This is Mr. Michael Baldwin, the manager. She has authorized him to appear, and I think, did you get a copy of the email?
Okay. Can I ask him to raise his right hand as well as the officer?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Ms. Baldwin?
Okay, Mr. Kanansky, will you be admitting or contesting?
It's an admission. I think the charges are duplicitous, and it should be a merger there, but you can make that decision, because if you do one, the other one should be included in there. But we would admit that there were people in there after 2 o'clock, and there was alcoholic beverages there and were being consumed.
Do you want to tell us anything about that, or have your client tell us anything about it?
The explanation?
Yes.
Yeah, well, first of all, I talked with the detective, and they were cooperative when you were, was that correct?
Very cooperative.
And then actually you helped them to get the people out of there, is that correct?
Yes, we did.
I think in the case here, if you look, Miss Winston became the licensee as a result of the death of her husband back in 2011. She has had no violations there. I don't think her health has been the very best. Mr. Baldwin has had a history of working in a bunch of establishments, is trying to help out, and may eventually take the place over because I think her health is deteriorating. Since this happened, they've made a procedure that last call will be at 1:30, that by 1:55, all the alcoholic beverages, whether they're in a regular glass or anything, will be cleared, and everybody will be cleared out of the place. The problem was, and I talked with the detective, a lot of people who were local residents there would get there, and it was hard to get them out. But now they understand that that is...
They're like relatives.
Well, I'll just, as an aside, because I know you'll like this, after I got married in a Polish home, I was away on my honeymoon. 2 days later, I called my mother, and she says, Uncle Lou is still here, drunk. So, you know, the old Polish weddings go for 3 days, so he thought that's the way it should go. So I think they're tackling the situation, and I know you know, and of course the detective knows. For a long time, they toured, the whole street was all tore up out there when they were putting in with new sewer line, were they putting in?
I believe so.
Something like that. But now everything's back, it looks cleaned up, and I think once they straighten things out with Miss Winston and Mr. Baldwin makes the deal to maybe take over the place, maybe she can go on and move. I think she has relatives in North Carolina.
Was Mr. Baldwin there in February when this
He
occurred?
was.
You were?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you aware that you were operating past closing?
I was aware of it, but we really wasn't, in a sense. They wanted to get out. We had cups on it because some of the people who was going out of the door, we don't allow them to take cups out. At 1:30 or 1:45, we started taking the glasses out of the hand and putting it in the cups. Okay, we tell them to stop away from the bar. Now, the cleanup guy, he goes out, take the trash, because I got a guy that comes about 2:30 to pick up the trash and haul it away. Can't put a dumpster outside because of the neighborhood will put all the trash in, the health department, the mice and the rats and all, whatever. And long story is that when the officers came in, we was in the process of getting them out. Now, some of the neighborhood people are kind of hard getting out sometimes, but we had never, after 2:30, 2:45, we're gone, and the door's locked. I have a package good as well. And I know there's cameras out there, so it don't make sense for me to even try to run an after-hour spotter. Most of my people can't wait to get off and go down to the horseshoe, you know, but they can, you know, so they can get.
Let's start that
So
with
let's talk about the horseshoe.
But I understand, most of them can't wait to leave.
But you understand now.
Yes, I very understand. I
Nobody.
apologize.
Oh, keep
Nobody.
talking. This is really interesting.
But the deal is that now we start calling about 1:15, 1:20 last call. 1:30, that's it. Nobody gets nothing, and we start still 1:45 collecting the glasses, putting them in cups. We do it at 1:30. And then the cups he saw on the bar, they was cups that people who went out the door, that we don't allow them to go out the door. I had 2 securities. And that night we had a big party. If he would have came there maybe about 20 minutes later, he would have seen all them people was in there. We had a party. So I had 3 security guys, and I got
So
2
they-
cleanup guys.
So they all went to the horseshoe.
No, I don't know where they went, but I'm saying, I'm saying my help. They can't wait to get off work and go.
Mike, I did the horseshoe at 3 o'clock. I did the same Coors Light that you have.
Okay. So, could I ask Mr. Akras for some clarification on the distinction between 4.05A and B?
Yes. Well, the distinction, Your Honor, 405.A talks about permitting people to consume alcoholic beverages, and then B talks about serving, dispensing, furnishing. So when we charge prohibited hours, we charge A and B.
I understand.
For prophylactic reasons.
I understand. Okay, the commissioners have questions?
Well, the licensee, Annie Winston, how often is she here?
Ms. Winston was there practically every other day before she started getting ill. And then when they dug up the street and everything, and when the customer couldn't get there, and most of the customers who was coming there was catching cabs or getting
Doing
Uber to come in and pick them up, and from there. But now the street is back together again. They're still doing that, and we prefer them to do that anyway, especially if they're drinking and leaving out. We let some of the people stay inside, but we're not doing that no more. Then when they call Uber, they can pick them up, still staying outside. This area is not the greatest area in the world, and most of my customers are older customers. But we're trying to find a way. We'll make sure that they're out by 2 o'clock. So they need to call Uber by 1:20 or 1:15. You better be there by 2 o'clock.
So you're the general manager?
Yes, I'm the general manager.
Okay.
And my history is that I have several liquor licenses in my name, and I am probably if I don't decide to stay here in Maryland and move to Virginia or Alabama or wherever, then I probably would take it off our hands. Now, since we've been there, since we had no incidents, no violations, and the place is spotless clean. Now, the officer was there maybe about a week ago where the health department was there. Only thing they cited me was the basement. They just came here Thursday and gave me okay on that.
Do you have any more questions for your witness?
I'm talking too
Get
much.
back to the hook.
Okay. You're supposed to be kicking him under the.
Yeah, where's the zipper? Where's
Okay.
the hook?
Do the
Thank you.
commissioners have any further questions?
No.
I've been given everything I need.
Okay. On the basis of the evidence contained in the allegations from the officers and the admissions from the licensee's representative and statements from counsel, I find that there is a violation of 4.05A and 4.05B. I don't think that they're exactly duplicative, but while I would probably impose a $500 fine for this, I'm going to divide it up and impose $250 as to each violation.
I concur with the finding of responsibility, and I concur with the fine that's been imposed.
Given the fact that you've had no history of violations in the past, I concur with the findings and the fine as well.
And there'll be 30 days to pay. Thank you.
Thank you. 30 days, we definitely need that. Oh, thank you.
I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Greenhill. Thank you.
Can I just add, you mentioned that you might take the place over. If you do that, you do know you have to apply to transfer the license, and you'll come back and you'll do everything. Okay. Just out of just abundance of caution to mention that. All right. Best of luck to you. Oh, okay.
Somebody's calling me.
On the next case, Scott Schlupner, SCS Holdings LLC, trading as Social Pub and Pie, 25 East Cross Street, as a Class BD7 beer wine liquor license, a violation of Rule 4.08A, Relations with Wholesalers, and violation of the Alcoholic Beverages Article 6311B3, Storage of Alcoholic Beverages.
Counsel.
If the commission, please, Frank Schullis, representing the licensee.
Good afternoon. Can I ask the others to raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I do.
We waive the reading of the charges.
Okay. Are you going to admit or contest? Are you going to admit the violations or contest them?
Admit with an explanation, I
You
guess.
can certainly give an explanation. I'm not cutting you off. I just wanted to know. Okay, so we know whether we have to take testimony. Okay, so on the 19th of January of this year, they contend Agent Pyle observed such that led him to believe that, well, this is a little different. They discovered numerous cases of alcoholic beverages located within the establishment which were purchased from a wholesaler by someone else. And then in the on the same date, there's a violation for storage of those beverages.
I would submit that they merge.
What?
If you got it,
Well,
you got it.
if you can convince me, I may be as kind to you as I was to Mr. Kadensky, but tell me what was going on.
Well, first, I would like to introduce into evidence a bulk sale transfer permit.
Okay, this will be received.
And refer you to Alcoholic Beverages Law 6311, and instead of B3, B1, a retailer may not purchase any alcoholic beverage except from a licensed manufacturer or wholesaler, private bulk sale permit holder, or non-resident winery permit holder. And I think that the bulk sales permit indicates that it was from a private bulk sale holder. Secondly, there's no evidence that the sale was ever consummated. There's nothing in the report that states that money exchanged hands.
You're making a legal argument that the rule, there's no technical violation of the rule.
Yes, John.
Okay.
It's not bulk sales, it's just who you can purchase from.
A retailer dealer may not purchase any alcoholic beverages except from a licensed manufacturer or wholesaler, private bulk sale permit holder, or non-resident winery permit holder. And you're contending that the purchase was made from a private bulk sale permit holder, is that correct?
There's a bulk sale permit holder.
The bulk sale permit postdates this action. This violation occurred on January 19, 2017. The permit is dated January 27, 8 days later.
That's true, but what happens when you make application for a permit, they only issue them on Fridays, and it's usually at least the second Friday before you get it. That's what some of the, well, everybody here at the board knows that, because when I transfer a license and we got to have a bulk sales permit, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 weeks to get them.
But if you don't have the permit, you don't have the permit. And if you don't have the permit, you don't have the coverage of the bulk sale transaction,
You got me
correct?
there.
Bingo, thank you.
Let me ask, there was one last year in August, a violation. What was that violation for?
It was a serving a minor.
Oh, okay, it wasn't the same
And it was by a
thing.
waitress who has since been very chastised very much. And
That's all right, I just wanted to know if it was the same issue, but it was not. Any further questions?
Agent Pyle, you're Agent Pyle, is that
Yes,
correct?
sir.
All right. So how did you have any, first name?
Hey, I just don't have his pile.
His first name is Agent. No, I'm kidding. What's your first name?
Pierre, P-I-E-R-R-E.
Thank you.
So how did you have any sense that, I mean, the evidence in front of us is you saw something happen in Annapolis
Yes, sir.
where alcohol was placed in a trunk, essentially. You followed that vehicle to the city here in Baltimore City, and it was then transferred back to this licensee. How did you have any sense, or did you not? Did you just sort of guess? Was it a suspicion?
It's suspicion. It's very unusual that you see a liquor establishment, a bar, restaurant in the city of Annapolis, which I worked there for 25 years, seeing a back of a pickup truck being loaded with alcohol of various brands and then be driven out of the city limits to another establishment. It kind of raised some red flags. Then we watched them unload a portion of it into the back door of the particular business.
speaking of your experience, you know this gentleman for a long time.
Yes,
right?
sir, I have.
What do you think about him?
He's never been in a bit of trouble.
Okay. And is there some economic benefit to doing a bulk transfer as opposed to buying it from wholesalers?
No. He buys $400,000 worth of booze a year.
If I could,
This is 26.
can I speak? Is that okay?
It's fine, if your lawyer is okay with it. The last person who did that should have checked with his
Talk about the
lawyer.
horse show. Although I do have opinions. I used to be a licensee in the bar in Annapolis where this came from. This product was close to expiration date, and I was trying to do the gentleman a favor. That's the reality of the situation. I applied for the bulk permit after the fact of that doing the right thing. I felt like it was the right thing to do. I was not aware that I needed a bulk permit. I thought because of the state, being in the state, I knew that going out of state would be illegal, but I thought inside of that, it's my responsibility. I take full responsibility for that, and I'm willing to accept the penalty of the board.
Okay.
Well, I have a question, maybe you can't answer, but how did you drive from Annapolis to Baltimore following him and not be detected?
Oh, not him.
Or someone?
He
who-
was
okay.
anywhere around the place.
How did you do that?
Many years of surveillance techniques. We had other agents involved that I called upon, and we just basically set up in different areas. And once we kind of realized they were probably heading towards the Cross Street Market area, we had agents already in that area setting up.
Wow.
So you had an inkling that he would be in Cross Street, or just?
Just in the direction that he was traveling.
Okay, gotcha.
The particular vehicle. It was pretty new place that we think that he would probably go to. Knowing the Annapolis area like I do, and knowing Cross Street Market area, it's kind of
So,
simple to figure
Mr.
out.
Wow.
It's Mr. Sloopner, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So what you're telling us is that you did actually on the 19th violate this, but you were unaware that you needed the permit, and
That
then
is
you thought
correct.
you would try to correct it afterwards,
When-
right?
when my attorney told me that the only possible means that we would have to get permission from the state was to file a bulk permit.
Okay.
I immediately filed one.
Okay. Commissioners have anything further? I would find, on the basis of the testimony and the other evidence here, a violation of Rule 4.08A and 6311B3 on January 19, 2017, and I'd accept the explanation and impose a $100 fine.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, I have to hear from the others.
Oh,
Yeah, not so fast. So I have a little different take on it. I appreciate the explanation and I appreciate the candor. I think that the fine needs to be a little bit higher, and here's why. I look at the resources that went into this whole effort to identify the problem and to support the violation. I also am a little bothered, maybe a lot bothered, by the effort to sort of make this right after the fact and to provide some cover, which that was just not a good thing to do because it's just legally not possible to. What was done to cover this and try to correct it just is not legally sound. So I would do a higher fine. I would do a fine of $500.
if I may point out, $2,600 worth of product was confiscated by the state.
Okay. Did you
No.
actually pay the $2,600? Was the $2,600 actually paid?
The $2,600 will have to be paid pending the outcome of this hearing.
Depending on, what do you mean?
Well, somebody's going to pay it. Either the guy in Annapolis bears the loss or he bears the loss. So I'm working that out.
So there's other proceedings related to this? Is
They're
that?
already done. They're finished.
Can you
That
report-
was by the person who purchased the liquor. He's already paid the fine in Annapolis.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Agent Powell, can you inform us on if there are other proceedings and if they have been concluded, what the resolution?
There was the liquor board hearing for the city of Annapolis. The licensees were fined $750 for that particular violation. They had a clean record.
So the licensee who provided the liquor was fined $750?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened to the product? What
The
happened?
product has been seized by us and will be destroyed.
So and that's a loss to the Annapolis licensee?
Whoever put out the money for it, I would believe.
All right.
Whoever put the initial cost out, and if there's any, we have no evidence that any money was ever exchanged
Okay,
between businesses.
okay.
The retail value was $2,354.17 was the retail value of the alcohol that we seized.
Okay. All right. I think that our my $500 fine is certainly more in line with what Annapolis did. Not that we had to be compliant or in accord with Annapolis, but I just think given the circumstances, it's appropriate.
So, and first I want to applaud the agent because this took a lot of time and effort, and I give you a lot of credit for this. I will somewhat side with Commissioner Moore on this, but only to the degree that each charge is $250. So violation of 4.08A is a $250 fee, and then the violation of 6311B3 would also be $250.
I can live with that. I can agree with that.
Okay, so that's a 2-to-1 determination. The fine will then be a total of $500 plus the $125 administrative cost, and you'll have 30 days to pay it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One second, Mr. Shawless. I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, State Controller's Report, Agent Powell. Board Exhibit 2, Field Report, Agent Powell. Licensee Exhibit 1, Bulk Sales Permit. Thank you.
Calling next case, Ralph Borman Sr. and Thomas Worth, trading as Tom and Olive's Cafe, 2942 East Monument Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. It's a violation of Rule 4.20C2. Class BD7 licenses, open and operating tavern at all times.
May I ask everyone to raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do. Can I ask each of you to state your name into the microphone?
Ralph Andre Borman Sr.
You, sir?
Thomas Francis Worth.
Yes.
Rocky Brown, Buchek, Madison, East End Community Association President on the Shannon Sneed, Baltimore City Council.
Well, let's get that last one more time.
Rocky Brown, Buchek, Madison, East End Community Association, 13th District.
You got that? Let me ask Mr. Borman and Mr. Worth, your name showed up on my conflict sheet. Have you ever been represented in any capacity by the law firm Whiteford, Taylor, and Preston?
No.
You, sir? You have?
What?
Have you ever been represented by Whiteford, Taylor, and Preston?
Have you ever been represented by the lawyers?
No.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to check. So, gentlemen, you're charged with a January 27 this year violation of Rule 4.20C not having the tavern portion of the establishment open and operating, but the goods portion working. Do you wish to admit or deny that allegation?
I admit. It was me.
And Mr. Worth, you have hearing difficulty, is that correct?
I've got it turned up, but I still have trouble.
Can you hear me when I say that Mr. Borman says that this actually happened?
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay.
And I admitted to it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, gentlemen, you want to explain or anything?
He's 91. It's a little hard.
I understand why he has the hearing difficulty. I want to know why
Yeah.
you weren't operating the tavern.
No, I was operating the tavern, but I did not let the gentleman in.
Oh, okay. Is that what happened?
That's a part of it.
You couldn't get in? So that's why you violated them? Yes. Okay.
Yes, it was my fault.
And you're here, sir, to speak up for them?
Yes, I'm a community representative.
Well, step up to the mic and
Yes, I'm the community
And
the president of a community.
you have to speak much slower because we're taking this down, okay? So tell us what you want to tell us, sir.
But the bar in our community has been an asset in our community. I had sports going in Bochek Community Association. They constantly come on Sundays and, buy liquor and stuff in the bar. They've been very helpful in the community for the crime, violence, and drugs in my community. And they've been very active in our community. And anything that, they do, they comply with what we do in our community.
I can't hear. All I hear is paper rustling. Sorry.
And if I was the bar being closed, I'd be in there myself, so I don't have no issue. As long as they comply with what we do in our community, that's why I'm concerned about the safety and concern in my community.
Do you want to give any explanation for why you wouldn't let the inspector in?
At that time, I was in the process of restocking the bar, okay, and I was by myself. So when he came and he pulled on the door and he says, I want to come in, I said, I don't have the back open at this time. And that is what I said to you. I didn't say we were closed. I said I didn't have the back open. Am I right?
Okay.
I don't remember saying we were closed. But if you say, I'm not even going to argue.
Okay.
Okay, because I didn't let him in.
Yes.
The reason that we initiated this operation was because I'd received a call from a community person who said that African Americans weren't allowed in the establishment. So this was in the second week of January. I asked Agent Howard to go with me, and I asked Agent Howard to attempt to get into the establishment based on what I was told. And Agent Howard went to the establishment and was unable to gain access to the tavern. And that's the essence of why the operation took place and what occurred. I mean, Agent Howard can better tell you what was said.
Well, now I guess we need to know what was said.
Well, when I entered the establishment, he was waiting on some customers in the packaged good. And I asked him, I said, is the back open? And he told me, no, it wasn't. He said, we're closed. And at that time, I just turned around and walked back out. And I went to the car and told, Chief Fosler that I was not allowed in the rear into the tavern area. And at that point, we went back. And when we walked in, as soon as Chief Fosler and myself walked in, he buzzed us right in the back. Didn't say anything.
And were there others back there?
No.
Okay.
And
Can I say something?
well,
Sure.
can I?
As soon
Let
as
the-
they
let the
walked back
inspector
then,
finish.
I knew that they were the liquor board. So yes, I did buzz them right in.
That's pretty obvious. So what else did you want to say?
Okay, and when I went in the back, I did perform a routine inspection, and I did find that in the men's bathroom, the hot water faucet was broken, or was not repaired, was broken, and so instead of violating him, I gave him 5 days to get it repaired. I did check the other hot water faucets in the women, as well as in the 3-compartment sink, which incidentally wasn't filled. But the hot water was working everywhere else except for there.
Okay. So, okay. Now, this gentleman says that you go there on a regular basis?
I'd be out on Monument Street constantly. I'm in grounds for my community every hour or so. I call my home community. We're governed by a 5-block radius. I got 2 bars and 1 nightclub in my community. Curly Street Liquor, their establishment. Then I have Edison Lounge down on the far corner. The Edison Lounge is basically used for where people come out to party. This bar is the bar where people come to just to sit and mingle and get a drink and go out. I run rugby games in my park, and like when they finish, like on Sunday, they go over and try to have a beer before they go home. And the bar's been a great asset for our community.
All right. Do the commissioners have questions?
How often do you just go to buy a packaged goods?
I actually come in there and actually monitor the activity sometime in that bar.
Do you?
Yes, ma'am. I do go, because like I say, I'm on zero tolerance in my community for drugs and violence. And if they didn't comply with anything, I contact Baltimore City Sheriff's League and we take action against the bar. But they be going to one resident. We got a resident in our community that they got a person with data of what's going on. And every time, 10 minutes, she complain about me sometime about being the president. But I try to police everybody in my community.
I
If
understand.
she have a problem, she should report it to me, and I will be down here doing what he be doing. I'll be down here myself.
Well,
We have no issue. We come down here all the time with Julius Henson, other bars. We take control of what's been going on in our community.
Or do you actually go into the bar area and
Actually
sit?
go into the bar and sit. I use the back of the yard sometimes to store sanitation equipment for my community. They're very active in my community. 1,000. I have no problem whatsoever in my community town.
Okay. Do you feel like you're pretty well connected to the community?
Who I am?
You.
I've been recognized as best community leader in Baltimore City for 2016.
Okay, congratulations.
I'm nominated the best community dad for 2016. Got all citations, documents, and everything.
That's fantastic, and
We're trying to
that's
move Baltimore
important.
City forward.
So let me ask you a question. You're obviously connected to the community. You got your feet on the ground.
Yes, ma'am.
You've got awareness of what's going on. Do you have any sense of why somebody would call and say that
They have a-
this
I have
place
a
is
leg-
not letting
Mhm.
black folks in?
I have a person, they have a person with data against the bar. The bar been open for 47 years in my community.
Okay.
No, I think we had one incident. I think I had one incident, I think 5 years ago at this bar. And the whole time they've been staffed for 47 years. We have no problem, no violence, no homicides, or none of this establishment. All the rest of the bars, they be, off the chain. I have calls from Edison Lounge every Friday, Saturday night for fighting and,
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Could
You're
I-
welcome.
Could I say something?
You may.
We have had the establishment, my father-in-law has had the establishment for 47 years. And I'm not a part-time licensee. I live next door to the bar. I've been living next door to the bar going on 40 years. I mean, if I didn't care about the community or about African American or black people or any color people, it doesn't matter to me. I live right there.
And
The whole neighborhood is Afro-American, and yes, I'm Caucasian, I'm white, but I live there. I never moved. So,
I understand.
that's all I gotta say.
Excuse me, during the Freddie Gray ride, we had an incident with outbreak of Freddie Gray ride in our community. We had talked at a bar on Curly Street in the next corner in the 2900 block. That bar was destroyed. Right? If we had a problem with this bar in our community through the Freddie Gray, this establishment would be the first one they would have hit in our community. That bar was never damaged. Nobody ever made any kind of threats or anything to that establishment under the Freddie Gray ride. But we lost one bar on the corner of Curly Street Liquor. And I think last month or 2 months ago, I sent the petition down here to get that bar back open also.
So, Mr. Borman, the optics of this
Yes, sir.
aren't particularly great in your favor. I'm sure you can acknowledge that. We get a call, so let me just walk through this. We set up a special investigation based upon some information that your establishment would not allow African Americans into the tavern. We send in an inspector who happens to be African American, and there's no one else in the bar but you stocking at the time. You don't let him in, not knowing at the time that he was in fact a liquor inspector. He then comes back when you don't let him in with Mr. Fossler, a Caucasian chief inspector, and you let them both in because you acknowledge at the time, now in front of us, that they're both with the Liquor Commission. You recognize that the optics of this aren't favorable. I will say, though, I very much appreciate the community leader being here. I very much appreciate that you live in the community. That says a tremendous amount to me. It really does. But you can understand from our side of things that this doesn't look very good.
I understand.
Can you just...
Oh, I'm saying when I seen the two officers of the court outside, I knew they were liquor board. And I said to myself, okay, you just didn't let the liquor board in. So when they walked back in, automatically, I didn't ask for identification, anything. I buzzed them in because I knew who they were in my mind. I've been doing it long enough.
But Mr. Borman, on January 27th at 1:45, or maybe a little bit earlier, there was no one else in the bar. What was the reason for not letting Mr. Howard in?
I was in the process of restocking the bar, which I had the downstairs open, okay? I had the back open to go upstairs. I had 3 customers in the vestibule. So at that time, I wasn't going to buzz anybody in. If the other officer, the white officer, would have walked to the door first, I wouldn't have let him in.
So this almost...
I'd have got it for that one, but I wouldn't let anybody in at that time.
So then that's a separate issue then, which is one I would think of staffing, right? Because I think our rules, Mr. Ackes can correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to have someone staffing your BD7, the tavern piece, as you're doing the packaged goods. Is that fair, Mr. Ackes?
Yes, the tavern portion has to be open and operating accessible to the public whenever the packaged goods store is open.
Well, it is open, but I just didn't let him in.
Then it's...
I mean, I can't say anything other than that because that's what happened. I mean, like, if Mr. Brown would have come in, I'd have let Mr. Brown in. You know, I didn't know the officer of the court at the time, and I wasn't letting him in because I was doing all this.
But what I'm suggesting to you, Mr. Borman, is when he came to the door, I don't know that you knew that he was a liquor inspector. It wasn't until after the fact.
No, at that time I did not.
Right. So
I'm not saying I did.
Okay. So
the first time, second time
sure,
I knew.
I understand. But it then feeds into this narrative that this cafe, this establishment, doesn't allow African Americans in.
Well, what is Rocky?
No, I understand that, but look, I'm not.
Okay.
Listen,
All our customers are all black.
no. I'm just raising the point for you.
Okay.
And that your actions cemented the special investigation itself. And so that's one issue, which I appreciate your response, that wasn't the motivation, okay? But but at the same time, you violated our law by not having it open and operating.
Yes, and I admit to that. No argument over that. That's why I admitted it, and I did not contest what the officer said.
Okay,
I'm not going
anything
to sit here
further?
and lie.
All right. So gentlemen, on the basis of your admission, the allegations, the testimony that we've received today, I'd find a violation of Rule 4.20C small double I on January 27, 2017, when you did not allow the inspector in and essentially closed the tavern, at least briefly. So I would impose a fine of $500 and give you 30 days to pay it.
$500 fine, Pop.
Okay.
Thank you.
I-
Wait a minute, it's not over.
It's not
Oh,
over.
not over yet.
Yeah, don't write the check just yet.
Come on now.
I agree with the finding of the violation, and I agree with the imposition of the $500 fine. And I have a couple things I want to say real quickly. One, kudos to the community. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Rocky Brown. To Mr. Brown for your own accomplishments with the community. But you certainly seem like you have your finger on the pulse of the community, and that it seems like maybe there's somebody that has some animosity with you. And I don't know what you can do about it. We wouldn't want you to come back. And I'm sounding like Commissioner Greenfield. He's the one that usually says we don't want you to come back. But there's something happening in the community that you all should work together to figure out so that you don't come back. Because the allegation was in fact confirmed, and none of us want that or want to hear that.
Yes, ma'am.
We don't take it lightly.
Yes, ma'am.
Your community, Mr. Brown, did you?
Yes, ma'am.
He did you a solid.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
I concur with the other commissioners on the guilty fine and the $500 violation. And thank you, Mr. Brown, for your work in the community, and thank you for being in the community. As Commissioner Moore said, I would encourage you to try and figure out who's making these claims.
We know who it is.
Well, try and do your best to try and resolve it.
See, but the issue
Can't
we
resolve
have now
versus
is
evil.
the Dominicans and Mexicans and all that, because I'm running a park now, and that's where they got to go at now when they over there playing them games in the back.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Everybody's got to work together.
Yes, we tried. Thank you.
There exists.
Yes, there are exhibits. Board Exhibit 1, Investigation Report, Agent John Howard. Thank you.
And that, I believe, concludes our violation docket for today, so we're adjourned.
Adjourned.